Hey, if you've never been fishing off the coast of Oregon or Washington, let me tell you something, you are missing out. It is quite the experience. You should really try to go sometime. The commercial folks there work hard to bring home the best and the biggest while also protecting the resources there. And the state is also doing that, setting aside areas that are off limits to fishing so they can study the impact of the industry. It's rare to get out into one of those closed areas, but our Cale Williams did it. And that is our big story tonight. Now, I should probably tell you up front, Cale had permission to be out there, and he went fishing with state researchers. It was a fascinating chance for him and the rest of us to learn about those protected areas. They provide a baseline for ocean life, and they show what happens without the pressure of commercial fishing.
Early in the morning at docks along the coast,
Good morning, everybody.
it's not uncommon to see anglers getting ready to head out on the water, prepping the boat, and getting their rods ready. But Tuesday was not a common day.
My name is Ryan Fields with ODFW.
And these anglers weren't going to common fishing grounds.
Everybody's on.
As the sun rose over the coast range, these 10 volunteers were headed out of Garibaldi, past the bar, and into the open ocean to one of Oregon's 5 marine reserves. Those are areas off the coast where fishing and development have been prohibited for years. And these guys weren't fishing for fun or for food. They were fishing for science.
Yeah, super interesting.
Lindsay Aylesworth, program leader for the Marine Reserves with the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife, explained.
And so these are really living laboratories off of our coast.
The Marine Reserve we set out for is called Cape Falcon, a plot of ocean covering 12 square miles just off the coast of Oswald West State Park. Captain Lance Fletcher, who was piloting the Nor'Wester, has become an expert at finding fish over the 30 years he's been running boats in Oregon. But on a scientific survey like we were on, where reliable data is more important than landing the big one, he takes a different approach. The fishing spots are laid out on a grid, and the timing,
get ready, drop them, 19.1.
is carefully recorded.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that can make for some fickle fishing.
Nope, sorry, false alarm.
With just a handful of bites over the first hour or so,
Keep those lines tight.
we had time to ask Aylesworth about why it's important to have protected areas off Oregon's coast.
We're tracking changes over time, so we're trying to understand, what does this protection afford these communities here?
And a lot of that means trying to find answers to big questions.
How does that change over time? How does that compare to the areas where fishing is open? Are we seeing the same changes, which might be due to, larger oceanographic processes that are happening at a larger scale than the Marine Reserve?
And then, almost on cue, fish started biting.
So we have seen changes, but a lot of that has been year to year. Oop, hold on. Man, you asked the hard question and now I got a fish. That was a male kelp greenling. Pretty small, very cute.
This is the fun part.
All day long, having no luck, and all of a sudden they're coming up like crazy.
Red hot here.
With the fish biting fast and frequently,
That's a lot of non-stop action.
ODFW research assistants Ryan Fields and Emma Johannes got busy fast,
Black rockfish? Black.
measuring each fish, assessing its condition, and attaching tags to some of them
Tag number 1513.
before releasing them back into the ocean. The fish were coming onto the boat so quickly at one point, they asked me to grab a rod so they could keep up the tally.
Fish on.
But restricting fishing in areas off the Oregon coast had its skeptics when it was first floated more than a decade ago.
We heard, again, during the planning process, from members of the fishing community, the recreational fishing community, the commercial fishing community, again, that kind of putting in, say, a protected area in this location would be too costly.
And some remained skeptical. Among them, Captain Fletcher.
I'd like to see some results, the data that supports that they're actually doing what they're set up to do, produce more and bigger fish and do the spillover effect where they come out of the reserve and repopulate other areas. But so far, no one's been able to prove that to me.
Aylesworth said that kind of data will take time to gather and analyze. But beyond that, the marine reserves are about more than just protecting fish. They're about tracking the changing conditions in the waters off Oregon over long periods of time.
That way we can understand what ones are associated, with, say, changing ocean conditions and what ones are associated with putting in these areas for protection. But a lot of what we're doing is generating research that's useful in other nearshore management contexts. So it's helping us to better manage our oceans and make smart decisions.
But for the folks out in the Nor'wester, it wasn't about ocean conditions or fishery management. It was about having a rod in the water.
Gotta love the Oregon coast.
And feeling the tug on the end of your line.
I'd say the fishing part is fun, but the catching part is better.
And having the swell of the ocean under your feet.
Being out here on the ocean just soothes the soul. Feels good.
Nice story, Cale. Thanks for bringing that to us. Certainly quite the experience for him out there. We'd love to hear your thoughts about Oregon's marine reserves. What do you think? Are you for them, or are you a little bit more skeptical like Captain Fletcher there, who wants some hard data to prove success? Let us know, will you? Our email is thestory@kgw.com, or call and leave a voicemail. The number's 503-226-5090.